Have you ever been around someone who seemed to drain your energy without even saying a word? Maybe this person is the kind who, when they walk into a room, suddenly makes the whole atmosphere feel tense, like they're pulling all the peace out of it. This isn't just a random feeling. Carl Jung, one of the greatest thinkers in psychology, uncovered hidden behavior patterns that can be seriously harmful. The worst part, most people don't even notice the signs. Picture being near someone who hides their harmful intentions behind a friendly smile, or worse, someone who plays with your emotions in ways you don't even notice, slowly shaking your confidence and sense of control. Jung studied the human mind deeply and pointed out certain behaviors that should raise concern. If you see these traits in someone, the smartest thing to do might be to walk away before it's too late. But how do you spot these people early on? How do you protect yourself from falling into their mental traps? In this video, we'll dive into Carl Jung's powerful ideas and break down behaviors that signal danger. You might be surprised to find out that you've already met someone like this. Or maybe you're already under their influence without realizing. Before we dive deeper, if you're interested in learning more about psychology, philosophy, and how people behave, think about subscribing to this channel so you don't miss future videos that could completely change how you look at the world around you. And get ready, because what you're about to hear might change how you see the people in your life. Jung believed the human mind holds powerful forces, most of which work in the background, beyond what we're aware of. Among these are behavior patterns that give away hidden motives. There are subtle signs that someone near you might not be what they seem. These people can look trustworthy, kind, or even charming, but underneath that mask, something much darker might be hiding. One of the most dangerous traits Jung talked about is emotional manipulation. These individuals rarely attack directly. Instead, they often act like the victim, changing the story, twisting facts, and making you doubt what you saw or felt. Have you ever felt guilty for something you weren't even sure you did? Have you ever started doubting your own emotions because someone told you that you were being too sensitive? These are strong signs that you could be dealing with a harmful influence. Another common trait among these types of people is a lack of real empathy. They might seem like they care or pretend to listen, but really, they're collecting information. They'll save it to use against you when the time is right. They know exactly how to find your emotional weak spots and use your feelings as tools to control you. Often, they create patterns of closeness, followed by sudden distance, keeping you emotionally off balance. Jung also pointed out how these individuals often throw their own issues onto others. Instead of dealing with their own mistakes or insecurities, they blame other people. They're experts at making themselves look innocent while making others take the blame. This can pull you into arguments or problems that you didn't ask to be part of. If you notice someone close to you doing these things, it's important to stay alert. Many times, we ignore these signs because we want to believe that people are better than they are. But the truth is, not everyone has good intentions, and staying in a toxic environment like this can seriously affect your mental and emotional health. So now that we've seen how these behaviors show up, the next question is, what happens when you let yourself get caught in this kind of influence? Jung warned about a deep hidden danger, how people who work from the shadows of the mind can change your emotions and even mess with your identity. When you unknowingly stay close to these kinds of people, your view of the world can begin to change. Slowly, the things you once felt sure about start to feel uncertain. Your confidence begins to slip away, and it's like you're stuck in an invisible trap of manipulation. But what are the real mental effects of being around this kind of influence all the time? The first and most serious effect is the loss of self-esteem. These manipulators are very good at planting little doubts in your mind. They don't usually attack in obvious ways. Instead, they make small comments that seem harmless at first. But over time, these remarks build up like slow poison, chipping away at how you see yourself. You might begin to feel like you're never enough, that you're always doing something wrong, or that you need to keep trying harder, just to be accepted. Being around this kind of energy can also increase your stress and anxiety. Because these people are unpredictable, you never know how they're going to act. One moment they're warm and friendly, and the next they're distant, cold. This kind of behavior keeps you on edge, like you're always walking on eggshells trying not to upset them. The result? Mental and emotional exhaustion. You might even feel like you're stuck in a prison made from their moods. Another serious effect is losing your sense of self. When you're always being manipulated, you start changing who you are just to avoid conflict. Without even realizing it, you begin giving up your desires, your beliefs, and your needs. You stop being yourself and turn into someone smaller and more anxious. This leads to a hollow feeling inside, a sense that something's wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Jung also studied the idea of a shadow projection. This is when people dump their own issues on others instead of facing them. They make you feel like you're the problem, and suddenly you're carrying emotional baggage that doesn't even belong to you. This can weigh you down emotionally and even lead to depression, especially when you start seeing yourself through the twisted version they've created. Even worse, the longer you stay in this kind of relationship, the harder it becomes to see what's really happening. The manipulation clouds your thinking. You begin to believe the pain is normal, that suffering is just part of life. This mental fog makes it nearly impossible to recognize what's wrong. But here's the good news. There is a way out. Jung believed that the key to escaping this trap is knowing yourself. When you deeply understand your own feelings, fears, and weaknesses, it becomes much harder for others to use those things against you. But getting there isn't easy. It takes honesty and courage, especially when it means facing things about yourself that you've been avoiding. The first step is to set clear boundaries. Manipulative people feed on confusion. They look for weak spots. By creating strong personal limits, you send a message about how far people can go. This might mean saying no when you need to, stepping back from a toxic person, or simply refusing to let someone else control how you feel. At first, this can be tough. These people often react badly when they realize they can't control you anymore. But holding your boundary is key to getting your freedom back. Another important thing is learning to trust your own view of reality. One of the biggest dangers of manipulation is that it makes you doubt yourself. To fight back, you need to start paying attention to your own thoughts and feelings. Thoughts. Ask yourself, is this really my fault? Or, am I carrying pain that doesn't belong to me? Or does this person really care about me? Or are they just using me? Learning to check in with yourself can keep you from falling for lies or twisted truths. Jung also taught that becoming your real self, what he called individuation, is one of the most powerful things you can do. This means peeling away the layers that the world or other people have forced onto you. It's about asking, what do I want from life? And what do I believe in outside of other people's influence? Toxic relationships push us away from who we are. So rediscovering your true self is a big step toward breaking free. Being around healthy, supportive people can also help. When we spend time with those who truly care and treat us well, we become emotionally stronger. The hard part is that, after being manipulated for a long time, trusting others can feel risky. That's why it's important to look at what people do, not just what they say. Real kindness shows up in actions, not in empty words. Finally, Jung said that facing your own shadow is a must. That means dealing with your own fears and unmet needs. A lot of the time, what keeps us in toxic relationships is something unresolved in ourselves. A fear of being alone, a hunger for approval, or a deep insecurity. But what if the person hurting you is someone close, like a family member or a lifelong friend? In those cases, walking away isn't always simple. You may need more than just space. You need inner strength, confidence in your voice, and maybe even support from a therapist or counselor. One of the most helpful strategies is learning emotional detachment. This doesn't always mean leaving physically, even though that can be needed in some cases. It means managing your emotions in a way that the toxic person's actions don't deeply disturb you anymore. Think of it as building an invisible shield that blocks their negativity from getting to your inner calm. People who use manipulation usually feed off your emotional reactions, whether it's anger, guilt, sadness, or confusion. When you stop giving them the reactions they count on, they begin to lose the grip they had on you. Another important step is creating a strong support system. Manipulative behavior becomes more powerful when someone is isolated and unable to hear different viewpoints. Toxic people often try to cut you off from others, making you feel like you're facing it all alone. That's why staying connected to healthy, understanding people is so important. Talk to trusted friends, seek advice from mentors, or consider speaking to a therapist. An outside opinion can offer clarity and help you see things more clearly again. Being aware of yourself is still one of the most powerful tools to fight manipulation. Jung pointed out that when we truly understand ourselves, we become harder to influence or control. If you keep finding yourself in situations with manipulative people, it may mean that there are past wounds still unhealed. Looking into those areas through therapy, honest reflection, or deep self-awareness can help stop the cycle of toxic patterns. It's also really important to strengthen your confidence. The more you believe in yourself, the harder it becomes for others to twist your view of what's real. A good practice to support this is journaling your thoughts and feelings. Writing things down gives you a reference point so you can notice behavior patterns and better understand your emotional reactions. It can also help you catch signs of manipulation, like gaslighting, and support your sense of truth. Always keep in mind that taking care of your mental and emotional well-being is not selfish. It's something you need to do. You're not required to stay in relationships that drain your energy, damage your confidence, or leave you emotionally empty. Sometimes, the strongest and healthiest action is to step away and make space for healing, personal growth, and self-respect. When you understand how manipulation works, notice the warning signs and take the right steps to protect yourself, you open the door to a more peaceful and genuine life. You have the power to create the reality you want and shield yourself from those who want to take that power away. Just recognizing what's happening isn't enough when the damage has already been done and it feels hard to rebuild your inner strength. But recovery is absolutely possible. And that's the part we'll now focus on. Healing after going through a toxic situation isn't only about pulling away. It's also about rebuilding what's been broken inside. Carl Jung reminds us that healing truly begins when we face the emotional scars these experiences leave behind. The effects can go deep, changing how we see ourselves and others. Still, it is fully possible to regain our strength and move forward with more awareness and resilience. The first step in recovery is admitting that you've been affected. Many people try to downplay what happened, telling themselves it wasn't a big deal or that it's better to forget. But avoiding emotional pain doesn't make it go away. In fact, it often comes back in other forms, such as trouble trusting people, fear of being open, or a constant feeling of not being good enough. Jung believed real change happens when we stop running from our wounds and face them head on. Once you accept what you've been through, the next step is to reconnect with your true self. Manipulative relationships often cause us to forget who we are. One way to get back in touch with yourself is to think about your old passions, interests, and values. Ask yourself, what made me happy before all this? What dreams have I let go of? What parts of me have I been hiding? Slowly bringing these parts back can help you feel real and whole again. Another part of healing is learning to trust your instincts again. You might have ignored red flags, doubted your own thoughts, or believed a version of events that wasn't true. Now's the time to rebuild that inner trust. You can do this by meditating, writing about your feelings, or taking quiet time to reflect. The more you listen to your inner voice, the clearer things become, and the more confident you'll be in knowing what's right for you and who deserves a place in your life. It's also key to know that healing doesn't follow a straight path. Some emotional wounds take longer than others, and now and then you may feel anger, sadness, or even regret coming back. Jung teaches that these emotions aren't bad. They're signals. They show us what still needs care and attention. Instead of pushing those feelings away, try to understand them. Therapy, creative activities, or simply talking with someone you trust can help you release what you've been holding in. Building healthy new relationships is another big step. After being manipulated or hurt emotionally, it's easy to put walls up and keep everyone out. But the goal isn't to shut yourself off completely. It's to build new connections based on mutual respect and kindness. It becomes easier to heal when we're around people who uplift us and remind us of our worth. Freeing yourself from toxic people isn't only about walking away from them. It's about choosing to live in a way that's more aware, real, and strong. And there's something even more powerful here. What can we learn from these experiences? How can pain turn into growth? That's what we're going to look at next. Carl Jung believed that even the hardest moments carry the potential to transform us. When we start to look at the lessons hidden in tough experiences, we stop seeing ourselves as helpless victims. Instead, we become the heroes of our own stories. The hurt caused by toxic people may not seem fair, but it often leaves behind a gift, greater self-understanding, and deeper wisdom. One of the first lessons is learning to trust your intuition more. So many times we push away that inner feeling that something's off. Maybe deep down, you felt the relationship wasn't right from the beginning, but fear or hope made you stay. Now you've learned that your inner voice is something you should pay attention to next time. Another important lesson is learning how to set clear boundaries. After being manipulated or mistreated, people often get a sharper sense of what is okay and what isn't. This new clarity helps in building healthier, more respectful relationships. You learn that saying a no is not rude. It's a way to protect yourself. Avoiding people who don't respect your limits becomes something you do with confidence, not guilt. Sometimes these tough experiences reveal emotional patterns that we've ignored. Jung talked about the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves we usually don't want to see. Maybe there's a fear of being abandoned that makes us accept bad treatment, or a strong need to feel approved of that keeps us stuck in harmful situations. By facing these patterns honestly, we can finally let go of them, stop repeating the same choices, and move forward in a healthier way. Another key takeaway is emotional strength. Making it through something painful shows you just how strong you really are. These hard times can make you smarter, more thoughtful, and more careful in the future. You start to trust yourself more, protect your peace, and focus on relationships that matter. Pain, when worked through properly, becomes something that helps you grow. Maybe the biggest lesson of all is realizing your true value. Once you remove yourself from toxic surroundings, it becomes clear just how important it is to take care of yourself, not because you're being selfish, but because your well-being matters. No one should carry someone else's emotional baggage. When you learn to love and respect yourself fully, people who try to control or manipulate you lose their power. You begin to walk through life with a stronger sense of who you are, ready to build something better.